Announcement, please repeat your full attention, and then we will get underway in about 4 minutes' time. In the meantime, just relax, enjoy, and I will speak to you all soon. Thank you.
I would like to point out you may go so actually quite understand here in office. Captain Champagne Ice. My stretch of the competition as well. I just thought you was going to have a service on my sleeve. I'll go straight back to the beach.
Westminster Bridge, ahead of us as you can see, is painted green. Ahead of that you've got Lambeth Bridge, which is painted red. There is a reason for this, which we'll talk about. Take a look at the top row of windows. Underneath them, do you see those coats of arms? Well, each one of those coats of arms represents a different aristocratic family in Ireland and Wales. You've also got the Lord's Prayer in Latin stretching around the building. Now that is meant to keep out evil and malicious spirits. So sadly, it's not actually working. The large tower is the Victoria Tower. It's within that tower that all the ballot papers are stored for a year after a general election before they are destroyed. Now this isn't the original Houses of Parliament. It was the MPs themselves who set it on fire. You can still see some of the old sections of the palace, so if you look down to your right hand side, you were coming down Blackrock steps, you'd probably just been found guilty of treason, you would have your hands in chains, you would be shoved into the waterman's boat and rowed all the way down. It's Big Ben! Yay! If you can see it, please point to it. Fantastic. Guess what, guys? You're all wrong. You can't see Big Ben. Big Ben is not the name of that clock. Now the reason that Westminster Bridge is painted green and that Lambeth Bridge behind us is painted red, and the reason why you've got a red veranda and a green veranda on the side of the Houses of Parliament is because you've got two houses within here. You've got the House of Lords and the House of Commons. House of Commons seating is upholstered in green, House of Lords seating is upholstered in red. In the old days, as you walked to work, you would cross which bridge corresponded to which house you worked in. This continues to today if you're having dinner or a time of houses mingling and therefore avoid corruption. Well, you've got to give them brownie points for trying, but I'm afraid it's not. Coming back up to the Westminster Bridge. Now, if you look to your left-hand side, you're going to see a statue of a woman riding in chariots. It's a statue. She did successfully drive them out of the Londinium, as it was known at the time. She was defeated in the end. This area on your left-hand side is the area of Whitehall. There used to be a palace in this location. It's the spirits of the people of London after the Second World War during the post-war blues. You've got the Royal Festival Hall there, home to the London Philharmonic Orchestra. Next to it, you've got the Queen Elizabeth Hall and the Purcell Rooms. And you have a very tragic shipwreck up the top. It's a very sad story, you see. The riverbanks actually... Of course I'm lying. I'm sorry. It's actually a hotel room. It's called a Room for London. You can stay there for one night. You enter your name into a lottery. If your name is pulled out and you're the lucky winner, one night stay. What is very famously known as a very ugly building. It is the Royal National Theatre. Prince Charles himself said he got it booked at the back end of the nuclear power station. You can see what he means. I think it looks like a giant multi-story car. If that's more your sort of thing, have a look to your right because we're just coming up to the ITV studios. Now for those who don't know, ITV brings us a number of educational programs. Photographs. over there on your right as we go by it. There it is, ladies and gentlemen, our beautiful 5-star beach resort, Gabriel's Wharf. Look at that picturesque view. To London, that during the height of the Blitz, Winston Churchill himself used to get on the phone from the cabinet war rooms just to make sure the St Paul's Cathedral was still standing, because he truly knew we're going under right now. It's the Millennium Bridge. It was destroyed in Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince by the Death Eaters. It also has a nickname. I'll tell you about the nickname on the return. Over on the right hand side, you've got one of my favourite buildings, definitely my favourite theatre. It's the Shakespeare Globe Theatre. The original one stood not far from here and burnt down in 1613, when for reasons known only to themselves, they decided, wouldn't it be a fantastic idea if during a performance of Henry VIII, they fired a live cannon on stage. In a building that was made mainly out of wood and with a thatched roof. What could possibly go wrong? The building burnt to the ground, luckily nobody was killed. A second floor theatre was built. It was built by the people of London and was then ripped down by the Puritans on the return journey. This area on your right hand side is the area of Southwark. Now back in the Elizabethan times, in Shakespeare's day, it was a den of sin. All of your naughty activities would take place down here. You had the theatres down here, but theatre was a little bit risky in those days. You also had your gambling, you had your bear fighting, your bullfighting, boxing matches, wrestling matches, your pig tickling, your fish slapping, cow hurdling, guinea pig chasing, all of that. And you had the occasional brothel and tavern. And now that is you, take you to your right hand side, here is the Anchor Pub. The Anchor Pub dates back to the 1600s, but it stands in the same location as the Bankside Tavern, which has been there since the 1300s. Now, many a famous person has had a pint in the Anchor Pub and the Bankside Tavern, including Charles Dickens, Dr. Samuel Johnston, who gave us the dictionary, Samuel Pepys watched the Great Fire of London, probably there, and William Shakespeare and his fellow about the pirates. I believe it's your right, because there be a pirate ship. Can I get a big R, please? Shivery timbers. That is a pirate ship. That is Francis Drake's Golden Hand. It's a reconstruction of the original one. The original one, built in 1577, sailed around the world with Francis Drake on a 3-year journey. When he came back, he was £25 million richer, having plundered all of that money from the Spanish and the Portuguese. However, he was not found guilty of piracy. He wasn't even tried. On the contrary, Elizabeth went to pay off England's debts 3 times over. So if there's any Spanish or Portuguese on board today, I'm really sorry about that. It's actually engraved on the wall of the bridge as you went past. Don't worry though, even the internet gets it wrong. Type London Bridge into Google, it comes up with Tower Bridge. Picture. You've got the walkie-talkie up there. It's the concave shaped building with the black screen down the front. Now this is the building which became infamous a few years ago for melting a guy's brand new BMW. The building is St Mary's Arms. We've nicknamed that the Gherkin. But enough about that. Over on your right, you're getting a fantastic view right now of the HMS Belfast. Built in 1938, it was the largest lightweight cruiser to serve during the Second World War. Those guns in the front can fire at distance of up to 14 miles. They're currently being deployed. She weighs 11,500 part of the D-Day landings, the Battle of North Cape, the Russian convoys. She helped to sink Hitler's favourite warship, the Scharnhorst, and then she went to fight in the Korean War because she was almost scrapped in the 1970s. Luckily, she was saved by the Imperial War Museum, and she is a floating museum today. Children under 16, give me a woo! Fair enough. If you're under 16, though, you get on that boat for free. Ill-fated RMS Titanic. That is not an excuse for anybody to start singing Celine Dion. Over on your right-hand side, you've got this glass building, the Beehive, or my personal favourite, Darth Vader's helmet. That's where our Mayor Boris Johnson does whatever Boris Johnson does. Bridge. Tower Bridge, not as old as you might think. It was actually completed in the Victorian age. She's only about 120 years old. She was actually painted chocolate brown to begin with, as chocolate brown was Queen Victoria's favourite colour. She apparently quite liked chocolate. Is that as you go under it, if you can get somebody to wave to you from it, you get 5 years good luck. So on the count of 3, we should start waving and cheering. Plain tips to passing tour guides. I'm only joking, it's fine. We're in the Docklands at the moment, one of the busiest parts of London at one point. It was actually to the other just by stepping from barge to barge. Eventually the I do like it down here, it's just a nice, peaceful area of London to be in. Unbelievable to think it was the busiest part of London at one point. Used to have about 50,000 ships in total coming into this area back then. If you actually look up to your left-hand side, do you see the skyscraper in the distance? With the light flashing on it, that is Canary Wharf. The centre bridge actually rise up to allow large ships to pass through. In its heyday, that would have happened about 14 times a day. You can still see it happening nowadays to allow large ships to come through. If you want to see that happening, check out the times on the website. They've got them all on there. Now, back in 1952, one section of the London Bridge, which was very high, managed to successfully make the jump from one section of the bridge onto the other with nothing but the river underneath. He saved the lives of himself and all the passengers on that bus. Which, by the way, you can get married in the old pedestrian walkways right at the very top. They eventually closed those off to the public as they were being used in the Victorian age by some rather unsavoury nighttime characters. They've got an exhibition in Tower Bridge. It's definitely worth a visit, guys. By the way, if you're waving to somebody as you go back underneath Tower Bridge, congratulations. Royal residence. The centre turret is the oldest part. Over the years, there's also been a royal zoo, a lighthouse, a mint, an observatory, a treasury. You've still got the crown jewels there today, definitely worth a visit. If you look down there, you see the bricked up exit to Traitors Gate, London's first one-way system. If you went through there, you probably weren't coming back out, at least intact. One of the only people we know who did was Elizabeth I when she was imprisoned by her sister, Queen Mary. Now the zoo. Our monarchy used to be given exotic animals as pets, including lions, tigers, bears, jackals, giraffes. Henry III had a pet polar bear who used to come swimming in the river, right here. You can get free entry to the zoo. Does anyone have a pet dog or a pet cat? If you've got a pet dog or a pet cat and you live back there, you could get free entry once you fed it to the lions. I'm not even making that up. Eventually a lion escaped and Henry VIII left Henry VIII alone. Could be an exaggeration. That's what he said. 3 Queens of England all got private executions within the Tower of London. 2 of them were wives of Henry VIII, Anne Boleyn and Catherine Howard. And if anybody can tell me the name of the 3rd Queen as you leave the boat, I'll give you a high five. It was probably destroyed when Queen Boudicca attacked the city. And number one blew down during the Great Tornado. He was upset there wasn't more to commemorate William Shakespeare in this area, and so he decided to come up with the idea to rebuild the Globe Theatre using the same methods and materials as the original. Has a nickname. It's also known as the Wobbly Bridge, and that's because when it opened up in the year 2000, it was opened up for a day and a half, and then it closed down. And that's because this sway would have you believe it used to be the old steam railway line running across the river. The line shifted the railway. However, when it was stopped, the bridge as diesel trains wouldn't be supported on that bridge. However, to get rid of those cars, you need help. Over on the right hand side, just on my nose, the scope of those, you see the four statues in the windows. There's William Shakespeare, John Milton, Francis Bacon, and David Beckham. So I think we take a very large hall. On the right hand side, just now you're coming up to the HMS President. We'll take a look at the arch here. You're going to see an old man's basement. It's old Father Thames. And he's protecting us over the other day. And underneath his face you will see the words Thames Reach. Now this tells us we've just come out of the city of Commerce and into the city of Westminster. We have returned to the city of royalty. We've got a city within a city in London. And tradition has it that the monarchy wishes, we don't know how true that is, but we do know his brother works there. It then passed to inland revenue. All of your birth, marriage and death certificates for England and Wales were stored in that building. It suggests this bridge was completed by women. Number one, it is the only bridge built on time. Number two, only bridge built on budget. And number three, most incredibly, it's a self-cleaning bridge. It's made out of Portland stone. It washes itself clean when it rains. Cleverest bridge you'll see in London today. That was the museum is Cleopatra's Needle, that Egyptian obelisk. The Sphinx at the bottom were added by us. They're just ahead of us. The Golden Eagle is the RAF Memorial Monument to commemorate the rise of those lost during the First and Second World War. So we've almost come to an end now today, ladies and gentlemen. But there is one last thing I want to talk to you all about, and that is, of course, the EDF Energy London Eye. 135 metres tall, that's the equivalent of 32 double-decker buses stacked one on top of the other. It was designed by Julia Barfield and David Marks, a husband and wife architect team, opened up in the year 2000 as the Millennium Wave. They were told to be the British Airways London Eye, and now are sponsored by EDF Energy London Eye. When EDF Energy took over, they wanted us to paint the entire eye bright orange. That would be ugly. So we painted one capsule bright orange, which is directly ahead of us, and then we told them that we ran out of paint. You've got 32 capsules on there, one for every borough or district within London.